Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. I know it's our new year, and I'm thinking new year. April the 1st, 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, and 1442 on our sovereign ancient moon calendar. I'm excited for us because everything that we said previously is manifesting. Every command that we put out there is manifesting right now. Right now. So a couple of years ago, our judiciary, for the de jure original indigenous natural divine Moorish National Republic federal government, put out a bunch of laws. We wrote a whole bunch of laws. One of those laws that we put out was an arrest command. Remember that? Some may remember it. It was on the website, and I have not been to the website in a while, so I'm not sure if it's still up there, because the website is, it's being done by someone who's not me. But it's still a good place to go to get information that you can put in red and all lowercase letters. So we put out an arrest command for the hybrids that were acting as corpses on our land. And around that time, up popped a FISA court, F-I-S-A, FISA court. Some of you may remember that court popped up here on the land around that time, and maybe even a little bit before that time when we put that out. The FISA court, and I forget what FISA stands for. I guess I can look it up real quick. Let me just see real quick. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Okay. That came out, that court popped up in D.C. right around the time that we put that command out. And they started issuing a whole lot of arrest warrants. A whole lot of them. At one point, when they first started operating, they were putting out arrest warrants for, everyone thought, oh my goodness, they issued 150 arrest warrants. And then it went up into 2,000 arrest warrants. Then it started going up into 24,000 and 48,000 and 96,000. And I was thinking to myself, who is that and why are they issuing all that paper? And after a while, it got up into the hundreds of thousands. And after that, people just stopped counting. They stopped counting, and you stopped hearing anything about that quote-unquote FISA court. Millions, yes. Yes, in the chat. That's everything that you and I and all of us have done. So they started issuing that stuff, and the hybrids were saying in the news that, oh, this is for this is for corporate judges, or stuff like that. Well, I found out today that every United States corporation company citizen has 3 unexecuted warrants on the book. It's one to match the birth certificate and any citizenship, quote unquote, United States corporation company citizenship document. There are three unexecuted warrants on the book for them. I just found that out today. And it's not, they had to issue it from that quote unquote court in order to keep it off the records, where you can pull up the records and look and see what the citizens have on the book, you know, like warrants and people being held in jails and all of that. They have 3, every last one of them. And that is also in alignment with the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And then shortly after, around 2017, they reactivated and re-amended the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And then in 2020, last year, they re-amended it again. So they're activating all of that. And the Foreign Agent Registration Act was put in place to specifically name United States corporation company citizens as enemy combatants against the people. And we know who the people are. That's the Moors. And all of that has already started kicking in. I heard some hybrids talking about it out there in the ethers. And the way that these warrants were working is they come in unmarked conveyances at whatever time and pick the citizens up. And it could be for anything. All they need is anything. Anything. The citizen that was talking about that is, she was from Poland, I think. I'll have to go back and listen again to what I heard. She was from Poland, and she was, you know, they put her in jail, and they put her in jail for like 5 days. And during that time period, they did what they do, cavity searches, stripping of all clothing and all of that. That's where all of that stuff is coming from, because I was wondering, when did they start taking people's clothes off? Because I heard more talking about that, about them, you know, putting people in jail and taking all their clothes off and having them sit in a cold cell for days, you know. I heard some more who've gone through that experience, and I'm so glad that they're okay. You know, they're fine. But, you know, so they put her in jail, and then apparently she saw this coming. So she's a business owner, supposedly a business owner. She opened her business, and when she opened her business during this whole quote-unquote COVID thing, she put something on the door of her business stating that she's invoking the Constitution, you know, that she's an American, and, you know, all of this and that. And when you hear her talk, you know she's from some, you know, another land where those, you know, they said that she was from either, I believe, Poland, I think, someplace like that. But she was invoking her quote-unquote constitutional rights. And as it turns out, that doesn't exist for them unless they go through, and this is just what I'm saying, that doesn't exist for them unless they go through us. It does not exist for them. And so, of course, not long after that, she ended up getting an attorney. And when the hybrids heard she had an attorney, they were relieved because they know you cannot be outside of that capitalist system unless you're under the Moors. They know that. And by getting an attorney, you're just covered right back up and pushed on into that system. So I did a little looking around, a little bit more looking around, and I pulled up the Foreign Agent Registration Act on the Department of Justice website. And sure enough, it has that language in it that you have to know how to read in order to know what they're really saying. And then I pulled up, there was something from 2017 and 2018. It's HR 4478. That's HR 4478, and I'll put a link to it in the chat so that you all can look at it too. And I think what I'll do is even pull it up on the screen real quick so we can look at it, because we didn't know all this was going on, but we knew it had to, because you know they have to do what we tell them to do. There is the link to to the FISA Amendment Reauthorization Act of 2017. So you can pull it up if you want to pull it up and just take a quick look at it. I'm going to go ahead and share it on the screen so we can look at it for just a moment, because this is important. It's important because, can you see it there on the screen? If you could put something in the chat. No, you can't see it on the screen yet. Okay, yeah, Empress, thank you. Empress, some can see it and some can't yet. Let me pull it back up again. Yeah, some can see it and some cannot see it. So it is on the screen. Let me pull it up again. Just a moment. Let me know when you can see it. Yeah, it should be, yes, okay, they are seeing it. Good. The first line tells you all you need to know about what's really going on. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger on the screen so that we can read it real quick. Okay. So now, I'm just going to read the first sentence and we'll talk about it. This bill amends the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978, which, again, this stuff has been on the books, but certain things that we do cause other things to be reactivated. If you look here, this was introduced in the House on November 29th, 2017, which was, you know, we were all waking up around that time. And the consulate, we had done the consular court restoration development team and all of that. It says, the first line says, this bill amends the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978 to allow the Department of Justice to target a U.S. person outside of the United States. That's really all you need to know, but or all we need to know in order to know what's really going on here. But the rest of the sentence is to acquire foreign intelligence when DOJ has already authorized emergency use of electronic surveillance or physical search related to such person. Well, when you say U.S. person outside of the United States, you're talking about those people trying to do business as sovereign citizens, and ain't no such thing, we know that. But the ones that's trying to come out from under the corporation, but they need someplace to go. And that is why the hybrids have been coming to the meetings. You know, they're starting to, this is what kind of triggered all of that quote unquote FISA court and all of that came. All of that in the chat. Behave more. Behave. They knew that it was time for us to wake up and do what we do, you know, do what the heirs do. Everything has already been put in place for us to wake up and be ourselves. But it couldn't be activated until certain things were done, and there were certain signs in the heavens that told them, okay, this is where the heirs are. They don't even really have to see us doing what we're doing. They will know by what the stars tell them. That's why the Pope needed a big old Lucifer telescope to look. And they shut it down 2018, 2019 time frame. They shut it down because they said, okay, the heirs are here. They're here. They're awake. And so anyway, now, what does that mean for us, and why are we talking about this? We are talking about this because when Moors first wake up, and this is why we're here. When Moors first wake up, they might still be doing some things like contracting with the United States corporation company. Unbeknownst to them, they don't, because we didn't know when we first woke up that we were agreeing to contracts that we shouldn't have been agreeing to. And that's why we've made the termination of all corporate contracts one of the first things that happens after nationality. When the Moors first wake up, they need to terminate all corporate contracts immediately and declare that they're the creditor and that they're the government. That needs to happen quickly because, see, it might seem like, you know, Moors, it seems like Moors get arrested a lot. That's what it seems like. But, of course, you know, citizens get arrested a lot, too. But that's one of the reasons why that happens. The first time that I was detained, I didn't have a termination of corporate contracts because I didn't know. And fortunately, I knew to go ahead and just state who I was and not change. Just state who I was and keep the energy pure and not change. And not bend. And no matter how long I sat in there, I was not going to let anyone represent me. They tried it. But this time around, you know, this last time that I was detained, which is time number 2 since I woke up, I'm very proud of that time because we did some things and learned some things and demonstrated some things and saw the ancestors move beautifully, that we were able to get ourselves in and out. So this time there was no attempt to have anyone represent me because I never talked with anyone. No one sat there, you know, all of that stuff. They did what they did someplace else. They did it just like I was someone that was not who they were pretending to, you know, me to be, which is true. I was not who they said. So they never called me into any, they never took me into any place and said, you're having court and this is an attorney and blah, 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 like they did the first time. So we know behavior distortion. And Justice Frank, I see y'all there. That's so these courts, that FISA court, they put all of those warrants there, and the only thing that needed to happen was for us to say, okay, it's time to start rounding up the foreigners on the land. Now, this has everything to do with the Moors, because that means Moors, we got to come out of that court and terminate the corporate contract and state who we are and be who we are. We have to do that. The ancestors knew that when they talked about terminating all corporate contracts. They knew that. That's why we do it, is so that we're protected as we go through this whole transition of everything. Everything is moving, everything is changing in our favor. It always has been in our favor. We just needed to speak. So it wasn't regular policy enforcers that came to pick her up. It was unmarked conveyances, black unmarked conveyances picking up the black people. And she was, blonde hair. She was hybrid. And not all blonde hairs are hybrids, but in this case she was. And she's trying to assert her constitutional rights as an American. That was her word. But they can't do it unless they come through us. And they can't come through us unless we're out of that system. Unless we're out of that system. And I repeat myself because it's a spell. They can't come out unless we're out of the system. Yes. And now that we are out of that system and speaking to it, raising it from the dead and speaking to it, they have a place to go, but not yet. And I say not yet simply because all the Moors need to be out of that system. All Moors need to be out. All of us. It doesn't make sense for 1 million of us to be out of that system, but then you have 7.9 billion others who are still in it. However, it doesn't make sense even for 1 million of us, but there's still 2 billion more that need to come out. But then all the hybrids come out, and then there's still more in that system. That doesn't need to happen. So the Moors need to come out first. And that's why those of us who have been demonstrating, and, there have been many of us who have paid, gone into the POW camps for our demonstrations, etc. Okay. But there's a way out. And we have to keep moving in that direction of getting out and staying out, and so that we make a way for our heirs to be able to come out of that system. So that they don't have, this document is an automatic arrest warrant. This FISA Amendments Reauthorization Act of 2017 and 18, and then they re-upped it again in 2020. That means that there's more that's been put on it and added to it. And the hybrids are having to deal with that. because the Moors said some things are outlawed on this land. Corporate citizenship is one of them. Fake money is another one. All that stuff is outlawed. That's why we have to decapitalize and decolonize. Yes, some of the heirs in the chat, Justice Turu, some of the heirs are holding on to that system and refuse to come out. We don't even have to worry about them. Why? Because the system is going to deal with them until they come out of it, the same way. If people want to keep going back and forth to jail and staying in jail, then with no way out, you got to have a way out. And the way out is not to be like them. That's not how you get out of there and stay out. You stay out by being yourself on your own land, not going with their flow. So, you know, I just thought I would clue you in on that. Moors, as soon as you can, terminate those contracts, because it's by the contract that they're picking people up. All they do is look in the system and see, is that U.S. person trying to be, if they're a U.S. corporation company citizen, that's all they need, because those are enemy combatants. Because they were attempting to be the heirs when the heirs are sitting right, we're all here. We're all here. So, you know, and when I say we don't have to worry about the Moors that are in that system because we know they're going to come out, that's not a statement of we don't care. We're not going to worry about them because we're going to keep our energy such that they want to come out of that system. And we're going to provide the energy that's going to assist by keeping our energies clear and clean so we can hear and know what to do in this grand rising. Yes, we have to be the example. And part of being the example is going to be living well, accessing things, accessing the vast estate, etc. That's part of it. That's part of it too. It's, you know, not everybody has to pay the, you know, do what we did. Not everybody has to go into a jail cell. You don't have to. There are ways out. You know, I didn't have to go this last time. I could have just walked away. But there's stuff we need to know. And that's what that was all about. And that's why I was so excited to show you all the documents from that time in here and how we were able to change the way that they operated by raising everyone and everything from the dead and continuing to raise them from the dead, even in the face of their belligerence. Why? Because if they stay dead, this right here, this Foreign Reauthorization Act kicks in, and they're already seeing that. See, many of them already know all of this stuff. Most of the hybrids know already that they have unexecuted warrants sitting on the books just waiting for the Moors to say, okay, all the Moors are out. Now you can go ahead and execute the unexecuted warrant. Yes, Justice Geo. That's why they're busy trying to come out of that system. Because, see, that system helped them live really well while we were asleep. I don't think there's a single more who would disagree with me on that. The hybrids lived very well in that system. So if they lived that well in that system, what is it that would make them want to come out of it? That means that somebody's not living well anymore. And things are not going like they used to go. Because the heirs leaned the capitalism system. Yes. Empress Portia, that census was a trap to get people to sign back up. And that's how we know it's a trap, is because there's automatic warrants on the books for all United States corporation company citizens. And by the time the shaking is finished, ain't nothing gonna be standing but the heirs. The heirs and their subjects. That's why you're seeing even people up in their highest, the subject, Donald Trump, that subject, he knew all of that was going on too. He knew what they were doing, and he know all of them have that stuff on the book. All it took was activation of it by the heirs. And we've done that, but heirs, we have to come all the way out of that system. And the last the termination of corporate contracts is the key. And then we actually have to activate that termination by not contracting with them again, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, we're not contracting with them again. Because when you do, it activates them unexecuted warrants. And the name warrant that's by design. Because U.S. corporation company citizens are at war when we're at peace. And that's why we cannot exhibit war energy, or else we energetically look like a U.S. citizen. And we don't want to look like them because we don't want to be mistaken for them. And the beauty of what's been done and what's being done is this. The removal of all debt off of our land is in full effect. What does debt look like? It looks like a name in all capital letters and black ink. Or a name in capitis dimiutio minima, which is any capital letters and black ink. That's what debt looks like. That's why warrants and quote-unquote court orders and all of that stuff from the fakes comes written that way. Because that's dead debt. And here's the thing. Oh boy, I didn't have this much information when I did my court action on the all caps name, because I did a court action and had the all caps Pauline Denise Ritchie arrested, that, and sent to Guantanamo Bay, because that's not me. That's a dead court pretending to be me. I'm me. I'm sitting right here. And that thing was going around on the land creating debt, when we know the heirs don't do that. When I did that, I did not realize that, and I'm so glad I did it, I will say that, because now that I'm looking back and seeing what's developing, for anyone using all black ink and them capital letters, I'm like, I'm glad I sent that thing out of here. Because when the colonizers, and not the colonizers, but the subjects, when the subjects from our court action and from when we went into the POW camp this last time, when we raised them from the dead, their only job was to take that all caps name and do away with it. Remove all debt off of, all perceived debt off of us, the heirs, me. In this case, it was me. That thing can't pretend to be me. Unless I, and really it can't, because I'm never gonna say that's me. I'm never gonna say that. It's not me. Never has been, never will be. And so when what we say matches, we issued an arrest warrant for that thing. And when the subjects issue an arrest warrant for that same thing, there's agreement there. But they have to be in subject status when they issue. And we put them in subject status. So when that happens, all that's doing is saying all debt goes away and the living heirs stay. The creditor stays. That's how you get rid of a debtor, is the creditor appears and stays in creditor status no matter what. I didn't care about guns. I didn't care about any of that. I'm going to be myself, period. And I'm not abandoning my vast estate, period. And that's what all of that is about. All of that whole system, because now the system is working in our favor. From what I'm seeing, I said debt be gone, and now they're saying debt be gone, because the subjects are saying we can take that debt away for you. So they acknowledged that there was a living subject in their system. That's what they said, a living subject in their system. That's what blue in capitis diminutio minima is a living subject. But then they let the living subject go, and they issue a warrant for the dead. And when they issue a warrant for the dead, they're just issuing a warrant for the debt, the debtor, not the creditor. And so when we have that, all of that put together, knowing that we're not the debt, that's why we can't claim those. I wouldn't even eat the food that they brought with all capitalized letters on it. Black ink and capital. Is this a cemetery? You're bringing dead people's food here. What is this? Dead people don't eat, do they? Apparently they do. But I'm not one of them. And so that is what I'm seeing as the way out. That's the way out. The way out is we have to not be anything in black ink and capital letters. No capital letters at all. None. And no black ink. Because all of that is an indication of death. And now knowing that all U.S. corporation company citizens, yes, that's why we're called white people. And that's why the hybrids are starting to change that and say, Well, we can't call ourselves white. They're changing that. Go and listen to some of the subject Glenn Beck. His name is Glenn Beck, and he talks about that. And he has people on his radio video talk show who are saying what their companies are doing, because the companies have gotten into subject status, and now they're telling the hybrids, you can't call yourself white. They're having diversity training and saying, you are not white. You're not white, and you can't call them black. Because, see, with that kind of talk going on, somebody might be misidentified as a U.S. corporation company citizen. So that can't continue. Yes, in the chat, Justice Teru. Justice Teru put in the chat, that's why they say Black Lives Matter, but the hybrids are the only ones out there. Truth. That's true. That's why that's not talking about us. We know that's not talking about us, but we're not out there like that. Not going to be out there marching around and praying. Because someone might mistake us for a U.S. corporation company citizen, and that's going to activate them unexecuted warrants. And then they just wait a while and look, and as soon as the head pop up, they go get them. Termination of all corporate contracts, HEIRS. We have to have that on the public record. And that doesn't mean that you stop using everything you're using and doing the things you're doing. Those are resources that we're bringing back to life. When you do your termination of corporate contracts, do it as a court action. So just at the top of the document, put all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, universal, living, Article 3, Moorish American Moroccan consular court action. And then state your appellation in capitis, dimiutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria personam, juris, in proprio solo, and proprio heredes. And then do your document. Then write out whatever your termination of all corporate contracts. So do it as a court action. And the court action that I did on January 1st, that court action, I saw some things happen there that I was like, wow. I did it on January 1st because that was when they used to celebrate the fall of the Red House. Well, the Red House is risen. We're all it. All of us, all Moors. The Red House is risen. And so when I did that court action on January 1st, I was saying that no more debt for me. And then I put it out on the public record. Yes, in the chat. You all are putting some awesome stuff in there. Now only blacks take the knee along with their trained pets. Listen, that whole animal situation, that's a talk for another day. We'll talk about that another day, about how they're developing quote unquote coronavirus vaccine for animals, for the dogs and the cats and stuff. That ought to tell you that it's not for us. They're giving every signal and indication that this is not for the gods. This is for the animals. The animals that are hybrid, that are not supposed to be here. That's who that's really for. So that they come out of that war energy and get in subject status, or choose to be deported off of our land. Now, I'm going to also put this Foreign Agents Registration Act on the screen because I want to read just a little piece of that to you so that you can see that, you know, This is all about the heirs. It's all about us and this land and all that belongs to us. You know how we said that we were going to be deporting? Oh, it's on there. Can you all see that website, Foreign Agents Registration Act website on the screen? If you could just put something in the chat. Okay, good. There's one sentence in particular that I want us to pay attention to, and it's this one that I'm highlighting right here. It says the Foreign Agent Registration Act unit of the Counterintelligence and Export Control section in the National Security Division is responsible for the administration and enforcement of Foreign Agent Registration Act. What do you think they're going to be exporting or deporting? Exactly. That's why that is there. It's so that when the time came and the heirs woke up and said what we said and said no nothing foreign on this land, everything belongs to us, then they have an export unit. And export means you leaving here. That's what that means. Export. That means take you out of the port of entry on the land. That's what export and deport is. That's movement. Those are travel words. And they all have the word port as their root word. And we know what ports are, because they always talk about ports of entry and ports of call and passports. That's why we don't need those passports, because it's going to activate the 3 unexecuted warrants. That's it. Away from the port of the Moors land. Airport, oh yes, all of that. So they have to do what we tell them to do, and they know that. And then we have to be honorable, and we can't be pretending to be them for a benefit one minute, and then we're the Moors the next minute. You know, we have to be ourselves at all times so that we don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. 3 unexecuted warrants, and those things have been sitting there, and as soon as a birth certificate is printed or citizenship is accepted, United States Corporation Company citizenship is accepted, those 3 unexecuted warrants go on the books. Been on the books, but they just were not exercised and executed. Now they're being executed. I'm like, wow, if we only knew. So we have to be ourselves more. We have to be ourselves. Yes, all of that in the chat. Behave more. But we had to wake up and say, okay, we want all of the madness off the land because we've declared peace. Now, as far as the subjects are concerned, when we raise them from the dead, which we are doing that repeatedly, and they get in subject status, then they're no longer foreign because they're subjects of the Moors. It's kind of like when you bring someone in and they work for you, you give them papers that says, I'm with them. Then they're not foreign anymore. They're living subjects. And foreign for us means the difference between living and dead. Yes, they are given permission to operate lawfully. That is exactly right. But they must be attached to or in the service of one of the heirs in some way, in any way. They must be in service. That's why when they first came over here, they were all coming over here on quote-unquote work visas and things like that. And they had to prove they had a job because they're not supposed to be here unless they're working to improve the vast estate, which is all this was all about anyway, is improvement of the heirs and the vast estate. So I just thought I would put that out there because the ones who are United States Corporation Company citizens, once they get, once even one of these is executed, once even one of them is executed, that means they're not really going to be able to come out of that system unless they come through us. And that's why they all start talking about I'm an American and the Constitution. That's what that's all about, is they're trying to unexecute the warrants. Because once they get them in that system, the system's going to keep them. And keep running them through and running them through and running them through and running them through until they get in alignment with the Constitution and the truth. That's why that's the first thing they holler. I'm an American. You can't do that. I'm an American. All they're saying is, you can't do that. I'm a servant of the Moors. That's really what they're saying when they yell that kind of stuff. And I have constitutional rights. They're saying I'm under the Moors. I'm working for them. So all we had to do was just wake up and be tested. We have to be tested so that all of the energies and the systems and all of that, they know what we're made of and who we are. They know who we are. And so they know we can deal with testing. We can do some testing and we'll get it right. Let's see, their executions are similar in Canada for Canadians re-entering the country. Yes. Did you all know that because we said terminate all contracts with that corporation, that whenever they travel, they've been expatriating and then repatriating when they come back. Expatriating to leave, and then even if they're only gone for a week or a day or whatever. And that they've been doing, trying to keep themselves attached to land. But so there's going to be some other things that happen that's going to speed everything up where we're concerned, and we're getting everyone properly, because everyone has to be properly documented on this land. They have to be, and we're the only ones who can do that. And when I say we, I mean all Moors. So are there any questions or comments or anything about that, Moors? Just please make sure that you have terminated all corporate contracts. That's going to be so important because, just one moment. Let me get that. Because I wanted to point those things out because We're the only ones who can free ourselves. So hybrids can't free us. That's why attorneys are useless where we're concerned, because they're bound too, especially them. Hybrids can't, U.S. corporation company citizens can't help us. And they certainly cannot tell us what to do when we know how to speak competently as competent heirs. And that's what all that we have been talking about and all that we've been teaching and learning, because we're teaching and learning at the same time, and not really teaching but sharing information. We can't be like them. We got to be ourselves. Because either you're going to be a subject or you're going to be a court when you're hybrid, a subject or a court. And neither one of those is us. 3 unexecuted warrants on the books, and that is something that not even if someone is a policy enforcer chief, they would not know this until now. And many of them did know, and that's why they started putting moors in as the heads of everything. If you can, we have sleeping moors, and I don't know if they're sleeping or not. I just know that publicly they've not said they're moors. But the provost marshal is a moor. I don't know if she's awake or asleep. That's not my call to make either. The heads of these policy enforcer stations, they were putting moors up there. Moors everywhere. So they knew that when they saw that FISA court come, that was a sign to them that there's a stronger court that's coming that's been activated. There's a stronger court that's been activated. And they'll be here shortly. That was in 2017, and now we're here. And it's the Moors. Yes, the mayor in D.C., everyone, all of those places, they were jumping ship and saying, oh, the Moors are here, we better put a Moor up there. The guy who was the inspector general, or whatever you call him, he was making statements under the subject, Trump. He was making statements under him as the Surgeon General. That's what it was, the Surgeon General. So there's going to be a lot of other universal postmasters. Yes. All of that is a sign. All of that is a sign. Putting more ahead of, as the heads of everything is the sign. And that's how they let each other know all across the earth about who's doing what. Is they change the head and make the head be one of us. And that's going to happen in a lot of different areas, because the transition must take place. So don't be surprised if you see so much more of that going on. So much more of that going on. And that's all I'll say about that for now. Are there any, just one moment, let me put it on Mm. Okay. Are there any questions or comments about that or about the foreign agent registration piece? Because we have to come out of that system. All Moors have to come out of it, and that's why I say we, you know, we've worked our way out of it, and we're very proud of that. We have a lot more work to do. So, you know, you can star 6 if you have any questions or comments about that. And again, if you listen to some of the things that the hybrids are saying, you'll hear them saying things very similar to what we're saying in terms of the corporation company's done. They're finished, and you know, it's all about the Moors. It's all about the heirs. And that's another reason also why they were attempting to create a quote-unquote race war, is they wanted to stir up some war energy and see if we would respond with war energy.
How come you haven't mentioned your own warrant, Pauline? Tell them about your own.
That lets them... I was hoping you'd say something so I could quiet you. How you doing, hybrid? Welcome to the call. And yes, you do have 3 unexecuted warrants out there for you too, hybrid. So, you know.
Fuck off, Pauline, if you think I'm your...
Yeah, you got it. You do have 3 out there. You know you do. Unless you're in service to the Moors. Yeah, the Moors in the chat said that you're late and you're fired, hybrid. You were supposed to be here earlier in the meeting. Anyway, we want to so that's all I have for today in terms of that part. Now, there were some other the other day we were going over writs, the great divine writs, and there were some that we did not get into. We'll get into those on Sunday, on Sunday, because that's where we started that teaching. And the remainder of the writs do bring in the Sherifian peace officer or the sheriff, and it also brings in the military. So you'll want to hear what the use of those writs are for and all of that. Yes, in the chat, the hybrids, they can tell the truth about their fake money.
Been here all along?
You know, I know you have, hybrid. I know you have. We know you here. We have to have at least one servant available to us to keep us, you know, on our toes and everything. So it's good. You can say. I'm not even going to boot you. I'm just going to make you be quiet. Empress Alexander, be good. So we want to, we'll go over those writs at that time, and then determine the better time to use them, because some of the writs we may never use them. Hopefully we won't have to use them, but if we do, we'll know how to do that competently, because the 13 great divine writs are how we speak to the subject. Because again, we speak by affidavit. That's how we speak. Writs and affidavits is how we talk to them. And then we can speak, you know, we can speak to them when they're alive and in subject status, but we have to raise them first. And I'm getting into the habit of preparing myself mentally because I'm governing my own mental through all of this. I'm preparing myself mentally to begin doing court actions out in wherever I go, and making sure that when I do them that it's being done peacefully from my perspective, and that I already know they're going to overstand them. I know that already. But I'm preparing mentally to go out and wherever there's any belligerence on the land, so to speak, or just people casually acting like corpses, I'm going to be raising them from the dead right on the spot and doing court actions right on the spot. And that will actually probably be the only time that I even talk to them, is doing court actions, and then in the court actions say whatever it is that we need to say to them about who they are and what's going on and all of that. But you know what? I was in the store the other day, and I was having an interaction with one of them, and all I said was, I'm an indigenous American. That's what I said to her. I'm an indigenous American. And when I said that, she automatically went into service mode. I didn't even have to do a court action on her. She automatically went into service mode. She said, oh, okay. And then she went and did what needed to be done, you know. And to me, that's how it should have always been, except they should be doing that on site. But, you know, we have to train them. We have to keep training them. But I see that the training that we've done thus far is working. The training that we've done thus far is working. They're getting in subject status and doing what needs to be done. Justice Frank, I also wanted to say to you, because we talked a little bit about the CDL piece. Another one of the Moors who has a national CDL is going to be sending us the process that she went through, and we're going to convert that into affidavits so that you have the affidavits that you can study, and whenever you're ready to demonstrate them, you can demonstrate them. Okay?
Thank you.
So we're working as quickly as we can on that, and we'll distribute them. We'll put them under one of the future videos, so that all of the Moors who are doing commercial driving, and it's not really driving. We spell driving differently. It does not mean United States Corporation Company driving. But when they're doing commerce and they're transporting commercially, they'll be able to have documents issued by their government, which is them, the Moors, all of us. You stay on our hearts and minds, and we want to make sure that that we do our part, whatever our part is. You know.
Well, let me add something to be cautious of. All of a sudden, every chance I get, I put I, Frank L., terminate all corporate contracts. Now all of a sudden, I'm getting all these offers: free tablets, free unlimited talk, free text, free cell phone. I just pushed one, and I want to caution you: if you push that one, then you recontracted with them. So don't do that. Don't accept anything.
Right.
I also there was offered free windows because I'm a homeowner, free roof, free siding, free electrical wiring, everything to get me the contract. Only simply because on Facebook, any chance I get, I, Justice Frank L., terminate all corporate contracts. on all your videos, all your that you put, I put that there on Facebook. And any chance I get, in my account, my Twitter account. So I even told Donald Trump. So that's my demonstration, you know, because I really do mean that. You know, I'm not going for that anymore. They're so. You think you got to sign something? Even when they had me incarcerated, and they let me go, and they tell you sign here for your next court date. I always put Article 3, Section 2. You know, that's how I sign. Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution. So they told me one day. Then they also signed an unconscious H addict. They may be conscious. The judge, and they wouldn't even let me open my mouth. They said, you're free to go. So it has nothing to do with what I was arrested for, all because of the power of Article 6 and Article 3, Section 2.
Right. Islam, you know, Justice Frank, them offering things like that, they're just giving you a heads up about on what's about to happen for the heirs. They can't offer us nothing, so you're doing the right thing. Right. That's stuff that we give to ourselves, and we're all we have to do is be patient and keep moving in the direction we're moving in. They're just trying to get out ahead and just get a few last contracts. You know, they're trying to just get a few, because see, after a while, everybody that has those contracts, that's 3 unexecuted warrants. But the ancestors are keeping us. Everything is sort of like we're moving out of sacrificial mode. That's what I'm trying to say. We're moving out of the time of great sacrifice, because we've made some sacrifices and we've done without some things and all of that. Some have lost some things supposedly, you know, and it's not really lost. It's not lost, but even our ancient records say that all of that's going to be replaced 10 times, 50 times, 100 times over. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing, and the bibliothek and all of the things that we have been doing without and have, you know, not had access to, we're actually granting ourselves access to it, and that's how the systems and all of that knows we're ready for it, is we will access it ourselves, and we will not go through any corpses to get to it, you know. So let the ancestors lead each one of us, as they have been, on how to operate on our land while we're going through this transition of fully accessing the vast estate. I can see how all of that is unfolding, and I'm loving it. It's beautiful, very, very beautiful. We have to do it ourselves, so it can't come through them. And that's why right now they're just, you know, grasping at those last few contracts to see if there's anything out there, you know, if they can just get 1 or 2 more, you know. And our job is to tell them we don't need anything from you.
It was like, can I say?
And raise them from the dead.
Can I say this? I thank you. That writs of affidavit that you presented, I almost would look at that and complete my submission to get my CDL. Like the answers are in that, what you presented. Those are writs of affidavit, like habeas corpus, writs of habeas corpus affidavit. But you said you can also courts that already adjudicated, things that's already been adjudicated, such as they already put incorrect information on my license. Pennsylvania do not put a race on your license, by the way. So some more already got to them. They took in that thing in North Carolina, didn't used to have race. They wouldn't mention that at all. Somehow or another, they trying to get you to recontract again. So I can see what you're saying. And those things that you presented to us almost got the answers right in that of what I should be submitting. You know, those documents that I should. Now, you give it to them. They don't have to. They have to take it because it is law. When you
do it as a court action. Do it as an Article 3 court action. Just on the document, like I was saying before, do the divine great writ. Start it off with all rise and stand. This is the sovereign Article 3, you know, living, Moroccan, Moorish American consular court action. I am sovereign living justice, Frank L. In capitis dimiutio nolo, in red ink, in propria personam juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. And then write out your writ, your great divine writ, and then you just, there it is.
All right, I got that. Thank you. All right.
Islam. Appreciate you. Thank you for all you do for our nation, Justice Frank.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to see y'all helping out. I've been doing it a long time.
Islam. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes. Any other? Yes. It is on in the chat. The Moors are saying it's on and popping. Yes, it is. It's on. Let's keep going and doing what we've been doing. Stay steadfast. There are some, you know, stay focused, and that's what we're all doing. And I'm talking to me first. Stay focused, stay on task, keep standing, and let's keep doing this. So with that being said, if there are no other questions, comments, etc., peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous national.
Their own portable supply of fluids with the get a drink and leave the house.
Islam more peace and grand rising.
Islam. Handle yourself very well.
Much love, much love, much love.
Much love, Islam.
That's all right. My sister's home too. She can't trace me up.
Islam.